for joining us today. We know that it's a busy day, busy time in the semester if you're still in school, but the Verizon team is excited to bring this information to you. We'll get to some brief introductions in just a moment, but first, let's talk about why we're here. So this warm and fuzzy subject is something that's close to my heart. I get pretty animated about it. And today we're going to talk about aligning your values, the things that you believe in, the things that you love, the things that you want in your future, to an organization or a company where you may want to work in the future, and how to prepare yourself to secure the role of your dreams. So jumping on in, taking a look at the agenda here, you'll see that we will spend some time on those few different subjects, aligning your values, of course, and how you do that, making sure you show up strong, and some information about our opportunities within what we call the network life. That's what we can offer you at Verizon in a lot of different ways. And then we'll save some time at the end for Q&A, of course. So let's go ahead and meet who you'll be hearing from today. So as you may be able to tell, I'm Jillian Cole. I'm the first one you see on the screen here. I'm a senior manager within talent acquisition here at Verizon. I'm supporting a team of what I like to consider campus recruitment experts. I'm located near the coast in North Carolina, which leads to the hobby you see listed below of searching for shark's teeth every chance I get. I have quite the collection, can't stop once I find one on the beach. But I also have Milena and Raleigh here to help present with me, and I will give them each a moment to give an intro as well. So Milena?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Milena Ofredo. I am a senior analyst on the campus team. I work in the operations, so I help all of the recruiters with all of their daily operations and logistics throughout the campus season. I also am in by the coast in North Carolina near Jillian, and I am a chef. Like to consider myself a chef in training. I love to cook. I'm always looking for new recipes, and so yeah, I'll turn it over to Raleigh to introduce himself.
Thank you so much. And I am Raleigh Lane. I'm a campus recruiter on Jillian's team. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, so I don't have the pleasure of being so close to Jillian and Milena, but I consider myself a pretend interior design pro. I'm constantly working on different projects in my own home.
Thank you both for being here. And we also cannot forget about our critical team members here, but behind the scenes helping with the chat box and the Q&A. They'll share some helpful links for you for additional resources throughout the conversation today. So thank you to our friends Cedric, Liz, and Andrew, who are on the call, but behind the scenes a little bit, but definitely being still a really big help. I will also say within the chat box, we'll have a few moments where, of course, we won't be able to see you or hear from you verbally, but we'd love to have your input in the chat box at those times as well. So let's go ahead and segue into the good stuff. So before sliding to the next slide, I want you to think about trying to identify what company might be good for you someday. You're going to have to do some self-reflection first. You'll want to take some time. Think about what matters to you. What's important to you? What are your core beliefs? What types of things motivate you? So I have some lifted out here on this slide. Over to the left side, a few things that may be important to you, several of which are very important to me, and I feel the same way for probably both Milena and Raleigh and my peers that are helping out on this call today. There's really no wrong answer because everyone can have different things that are important in their lives or important in their roles. I'll also say that these can definitely evolve over time. So the things that were most important to me when I began here at Verizon 15 years ago have evolved. And now there are different things that I prioritize and find important based on what's going on in my personal life and the responsibilities I have there, but also in my role day to day and the responsibilities that I have here. So these are some of the things to consider, not only the list over to the left, but over on the right side, there's a few other call outs. But this is where I'd like to take a moment and have you think about what might be important to you. Of course, you can use these exact same answers I have shared on the screen, but if there are other things that are important to you, I'd love to hear about it. So please take a moment in the chat box to share some of the things that you think might be important to you when you're going and doing that job search to make sure that your values align. Work-life balance, tech skill growth, ongoing development, very important. It's nice to know you have things to look forward to in the future, achievements, goals, mentorship's a great call out. recognition. You don't want to do a ton of hard work and never have it recognized. I get it. I understand. Inclusivity is so important. Teamwork, balance, love it. Great. So many responses. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you putting this in here. And you're right, all of these are incredibly important to you, to me, to those that might work around you. That's how we can all find common ground and find out, where we want to go from here. So thank you for your participation, calling those out. They all make a lot of sense. So now that you've done that reflection, this is good. We've already got a first step towards identifying where you want to go in the future. Now you have to find what kind of organizations might be able to have that for you. So what's going to align with your values, and how do you find out if they really do? You do your research, right? So the first thing you want to do, draw your attention up to the top in order to find out how you align with the company or numerous companies. If you're not sure where you'd like to end up yet, you'll want to do that research. And it should be pretty easy because you most likely have a phone and you can do really easy research with just a few clicks on there. So we'll start by talking a little bit about Glassdoor. Now that is a site, if you haven't been there before, that's where employees can rate and rank their employer, share verbatims and commentary on their different experiences there. And that's a really good way to see real feedback on an employer from someone who has worked there. You can go into Glassdoor also without really even having a specific company that you're looking to learn more about. There are plenty of ways to browse throughout Glassdoor and see what piques your interest. Now, if you do have a few companies that you want to check out, you know them by name, you're interested in learning more about them, go straight for them. That's a very easy Google search. You can just search for their website. I know large companies, much like ours here at Verizon, we've got a very, very robust website, just in general, but then there's a robust campus website, all kinds of different things on there, our history, the initiatives, our core values and the things we believe in, the types of roles that we're hiring for. That can be really helpful in understanding what a company is all about. So that's a great place to go once you do identify somewhere you want to look. Now you can also see if they have a presence on social media. I know we do. There's a few different handles that we have. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, which we'll go to next. But Instagram's really one of my favorites. We have a channel. It's at Verizon Careers. I have seen my peers there. I have seen the interns we've hired there giving their testimonials, talking some about their path. If they've been here for a long time, they're celebrating anniversaries. That's a really good way to learn more about the company as well, straight from the employees. So feel free to follow us on Verizon Careers. But you can also leverage LinkedIn, like I mentioned, to see company pages or even connect with employees at those companies. I have had lots of students reach out to me on LinkedIn before saying, hey, I see you're at Verizon. I don't really know the expanse of what you do, but I'm interested in getting Verizon. Do you have any helpful hints for me? I'm always happy to help with things like that. It's so nice to meet and connect with people. And I like that they're interested in Verizon and they want to know more before they even get to the point of an interview. That's also impressive to me as a recruiter to know that someone's doing that homework beforehand, which is awesome. And then, of course, if you're looking really just for their core values and you know what kind of company you want to look for, you can also just type in that company name with core values typed after it. That is the most direct way to find exactly what you're looking for in this scenario. So you've gotten on the website. What do I actually look for? What am I trying to find? What might be there? So we talk a lot about our EVP here at Verizon. You hear EVP, what does that mean? That is the employer value proposition. We also have our company credo, and I'll show that to you in just a moment, but the credo is a whole thing for Verizon. I think a lot of companies probably feel the same way about the stance that they take on certain things. But you're also looking maybe corporate social responsibility or volunteerism, sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DE&I. Maybe that's what you're looking for. That's the type of thing that you can typically find on the sites as well. And I also just like to see happy employees, right? So maybe it is their social media, maybe it's their website, but I'm looking for people who have shared a very authentic experience where I can see that they're happy, they're enjoying their time there, and their soul is refreshed and their heart is filled for the type of work that they get to do. That's what I'm looking for. Then, of course, many companies list out their awards and accolades so you can see some of the things they've been recognized for. Now, before I move to the next page and share a little bit about Verizon, I did want to call out that over to the right, here are a few snippets that I found very easily testing my own guidance here. I went on the website, or I went on Google, typed in what I was looking for with the words core values after it for just 3 random company names that came to mind, and here are some of the things that came up. So the top one calls out that some of their core values are pursuing excellence while making a difference. The middle one talks about integrity and making the world a brighter place while also having fun in the process, and I really like that. And the last one calls out just realizing the power of our people and trusting the team to get things done. And I think that's especially powerful as well. So those are the kinds of things you might be looking for online to see what aligns with your values. And like I mentioned, I know I want this whole webinar today to be very holistic and general so you can take and plug and play this information wherever you end up. But we do all support Verizon, so I do want to, focus very specifically on Verizon for a moment. So here's a spotlight on some of the things that you can find out about Verizon by doing a quick search on our website. So I know I mentioned the credo before. That's over on the left. We are Verizon, and it had the different sections called out with the bold. I'm here to tell you that everyone who works here at Verizon knows about that credo. And most of us can quote our favorite lines to you, and we can tell you why they're our favorite lines, why we feel that way, the experiences we've had. We really do take a lot of pride in our credo and having those as our core values to stand on. Over to the right, we also take a lot of pride in our ESG, which you can tell in there means our environmental, social, and governance strategy. And then down below, our diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DE&I, commitments as well. All of those things are very important to us, and again, very easy to find straight up on our website with a quick search. Cool. All right, so on this page, one more quick shout out to Verizon, and the way that we have a commitment to our teams are our employee resource groups, also known as ERGs. A lot of companies call them RGs or ERGs. We do the same, but we have 10 of those here at Verizon, and as an employee, you can be part of any of them that you want to, or all of them. I know a lot of people that I work with who have signed up to be part of all 10, and they're getting a lot of enriching information because of that. Now, I personally chose to take part in 2 of them. Now, I'm part of PACT, that's Parents and Caregivers Together, because I am the mother of a young child, and I attended a webinar that talked me through how to get them to stop having as many tantrums. So I definitely learned something for that when he was a little bit younger. And then I'm also part of United, because that's kind of a universal, let's all come together type of thing. Why wouldn't we all want to be united? Now, they've hosted lots of different webinars, exercise events we can do virtually, volunteerism events that I've been able to take advantage of. And one thing I really like about United is that we share open job openings. Like, hey, just so you know, these are open internally. If you think you're a good candidate, jump in there and apply. And that's just a really nice way to build each other up. So I will go ahead and open up the floor here to Milena and Raleigh to see, do you guys belong to any of those? And is there anything you've gained from being a part of them? Raleigh, this time I'll start with you.
Sure. Yes, I'm a member of many of our ERGs, both as a member of those communities as well as an ally, or to gain more perspective for communities that don't necessarily represent me. In a previous role, I supported the global co-lead of BOLD, Black Originators, Leaders, and Doers. And then also had a leadership role within our PRISM employee resource group. So it's definitely allowed me to make valuable connections with people that are both within my community and outside of it, and gain valuable perspectives too.
Yeah, and I've also, I'm part of 2 ERGs myself. I'm part of WAVE and Valor. And so with Valor, my father was in the military. So growing up in a military household, that one's pretty near and dear to my heart. And I've had the opportunity to volunteer with Valor specific organizations to help out veterans and their families. And then within WAVE, I have had a lot of different opportunities to just take part in development courses, webinars, leadership, seminars, all of those things to help me towards my career goals. So lots of great benefits and value to being part of, the ERGs for sure. All right. So I'm going to take over from here. So now that we've covered how to reflect on what's most important to you, we've researched companies to see where you might have a strong fit. And we've also seen how Verizon specifically shares that commitment to their values. Let's talk more about how to show up strong and impress companies that you align with the most. So let's talk about a couple of different places where you can show up strong. First off, in your resume, at a career fair, and also in an interview. How you show up in these three different ways is important to making a positive impression and mark with who you want to work with within an organization when you're seeking a role. So we'll start off with resumes. I know that starting a resume can seem like a daunting task. We are especially if you don't have a lot started yet. So we've separated our resume tips into three sections to make it simple and easier for you to tackle. The first section to consider is your work experience. So when you're adding work experience, make sure that you're relating each task with an accomplishment. You can also add special projects that you've worked on within your college courses. And you always want to make sure that you emphasize any results that you've had. Next is education. And so one thing I want to point out is that you want to make sure that you add your expected graduation date along with your degree and major with your education. And this is really important to recruiters as they look through resumes because they want to make sure that they are matching you up to the right internship or role that you could qualify for. And then we have skills and abilities. So you're going to want to include specific industry skills, software, programming languages, maybe things that you've learned in your college courses. We understand that you might not have that much work-related experience, but you can add things that you have learned within college courses that are relevant to the position you're applying for. You can also add the level of experience that you have in that skill, whether you're a beginner or maybe you're more advanced or an expert. And then you also want to consider transferable skills. So have you collaborated with a team on a project or in a work setting? Have you presented or created a presentation? Do you keep your team organized with a spreadsheet? Have you led a group project from start to finish? These are all transferable skills that you can add to your resume that are relevant to the position that you are applying for. And then finally, don't forget about your professional memberships and activities, as well as any honors and awards that you've won. This is really going to show the recruiter your involvement in college, which we all love to see. All right, so we've talked about what you can add in. So let's take a look at an example resume. So this resume, just taking a look at it, it's a pretty solid resume. And, here's some of the reasons why. It's definitely easy to read. It's formatted in a way that highlights, the most important information that's drawn to the eyes. You notice on the objective that it outlines skills and pertinent details to the role and company. It's very clear. The education includes your major and your expected graduation date. Your skills that are listed here don't, not only are they highlighted, but they also add the level of expertise with each of those skills. The contact information is easy to find. And it's also easy to understand the experience. You can understand exactly what the person did in that role, where they worked, when they worked, and it has results and outcomes listed. That's also really important. So just taking a good look at this is overall a really solid professional resume. So now let's take a look now that we've seen what a good resume looks like. Let's take a look at this one and just see some things that maybe aren't as great as the other resume. And just take a moment to look it over. And I want to hear from you in the chat box. Tell me a couple of things that you're noticing that might not be as solid as the last resume that we just looked at. Yeah, lots of white space, alignment. That's a good one. Instagram chat, Snapchat. Yeah, good answers. Looks basic. Yes. So there's not a whole lot of detail here. So let's go into the details here. So if you look on the left-hand column, so the resume or the objective is not very detailed. It doesn't have anything very specific, right? And it doesn't tell us why that person should stand out for the role. The formatting is off, right? The bullets, spacing, I mean, there's a lot in here that's missing in alignment. So it makes it harder to read. And if you think about it, recruiters don't have a lot of time to sit and piece together a resume. If you look on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, sorry, you'll notice this was pointed out in the social media links. You want to keep social media links to professional platforms like LinkedIn. Also, if you'll notice, we added a little piece here about proprietary content. So it's great that you've worked in another company, but you probably don't want to share any confidential company details within your work experience. And then also, if you look at the skills, you definitely want to add the skills that you do have, but probably not highlight the ones that you don't have. And then if you look at the very bottom, it's great to show all of your extracurricular activities, but you want to keep those professional and appropriate. All right, so let's see. So we've gotten into a really great resume. Now we're ready to go to a career fair. All right, so you might not realize it, but preparing for a career fair versus just showing up to one can really make a huge difference. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how just a little of preparation can help you gain value from attending a career fair. So first off, your goals. So you want to consider some questions before you attend, like what do you want to gain from attending? Are you looking for an internship or a full-time position? Are you just wanting to do career exploration or networking? Or maybe you want to do all three. Going into a career fair can be really overwhelming, and just having a plan and some goals beforehand can help you walk in with a lot of confidence. So once you know what you want to get out of the fair, do your research. So Jillian's already alluded to how research can help you with your core values and aligning a company. So now take that research and bring it with you to the fair. So take a look at the job fair list and figure out which employers you do want to speak to and why. Pick out your top choices, and then look and see if they have positions already available. Find out what their core initiatives are and core values. And then take that with you to the career fair. Recruiters and employers love it when you show up prepared and ready to talk about their company and opportunities. Walking up and just asking, what do you have open or what are you all about, is just not very impressive to potential employers. You'll also want to prepare a quick intro for yourself. So a little mini elevator pitch. You're only going to have a couple of minutes to connect with someone, and you want to make it count and make a really great impression. So you'll want to briefly highlight your school career so far, what your interests and skills are that you excel at, and anything that you want to highlight to make yourself stand out. You also want to practice it. You want it to be a natural part of the conversation. You don't want to be over practiced, but you definitely want to come across as clear and concise. And then you can also think of questions to ask and make sure that you ask them. Make sure you interact with your recruiter or representative. If you are interested in a position, be prepared to ask to apply right there on the spot. Since it is highly competitive, some employers are prepared to just ask you to go ahead and apply and get you set up for an interview. So just be prepared that you might be asked to do that. And then be yourself. Let your personality shine through, have energy, smile, be attentive, really listen to your representative at the booth. Recruiters and representatives speak to a lot of people just in one career fair. And oftentimes they're going to more than one career fair in a week or within the month. So you want to make sure that you have positive energy and you want to make a lasting impression. And then finally, after the fair, do some follow-up, make notes about the companies and positions that you were interested in and why. If you want to apply to something, don't wait. You want to apply right away. Positions fill up very quickly. Like I mentioned, it's competitive. And so the sooner you apply, the better chance you have of being considered before the position fills. And then if you can, send a quick email to the recruiter that you spoke with at the fair. Let them know that you applied so that they can look out for your resume. All right. So I talked about a lot of this already, but this is actual verbatim advice that's come from our team, from our campus recruiters. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of those because this is things that they've noticed and things that they like to see at career fairs. So I just want you to take note. Cedric says, have a solid elevator pitch. We talked about that. Pam says to really make every interaction count and listen and care about each one. And Q, she says, get all those nerves out and come out with confidence and be yourself. So all of those things are coming, all of that advice is coming straight from recruiters too. It's what we're looking for. All right, so now that you have that advice and the resume, let's talk about what happens next when you get to that interview. Okay, so you've already done all the research. Now you have to be ready to talk through that. So when you start off in your interview, you want to make sure that you're able to talk to your resume, talk to the highlights of your experience and or skills. And you also want to be prepared to talk about those core values or initiatives of the company that interest you. You really want to show your interest and not just in the role, but in the company itself. Next, you're going to want to think about how to form your interview answers and examples. So take a look at your resume. Think about some of the standout experiences where your skills really shine through. Have an example as well with a quantifiable result will help kind of boost that answer as well. You can jot down your thoughts and make notes about all of those situations. That'll really help you commit that to memory. And then once you've come up with a couple of examples, you do want to practice them. That will help you be comfortable with your answer, confident. You'll be natural. If you want, you can grab a partner and practice your answers. Do a mock interview. Or you could even record yourself. This will help you see how you're presenting yourself to your potential interview. You'll also want to have a few questions prepared to ask your interview. Even if there isn't time to ask them all, you really want to show that you're interested in the role and what insights they can give you. So some examples include what's the daily work look like in this role? What skills are necessary to be successful in this role? Or even what is the company or team culture like? We also talked about having an elevator pitch, but also prepare a closing statement for your interview. Most interviews have a closing line like, is there anything else you'd like to add about yourself? This isn't the time for you to say, nope, we've covered everything. This is the time where you want to showcase your skills and what makes you a great selection for this role. This is your final impression before the interview closes. So make sure you just prepare a couple of sentences for that. And then let's talk about just some advice direct from recruiters again. So I won't go through all of these, but if you'll notice, a lot of these we've already talked through today. But I did want to point out, if you are really nervous or you feel like you might get a little frazzled, create a little cheat sheet that can kind of center yourself back to what you were talking about in case you get off kilter a little bit. That's perfectly fine. And then also, we love to hear your pride points. Tell us what you're proud of. I know it sounds counterintuitive to talk about yourself and talk about all the great things that you've done, but that's what this interview is for. So get comfortable with that and be proud to tell us about all of your accomplishments. All right, so we showed you how to show up strong. So now Raleigh's going to take over and tell you about all of our opportunities.
Thank you, Milena. Yes, Milena and Jillian have done a great job setting us up for researching our organizations that we want to be a part of, how to prepare for career fairs and for the interview. And then I would love to talk to you more about our Verizon campus team and opportunities and how you can be part of the network life. So here is a little snapshot of who we are hiring. And this is really where we see the next generation of technology talent emerging. So we have kind of categorized it here between two different settings, during college and graduating students. So during college, we offer internships and co-ops. Both are full-time opportunities. Our internships are 10 weeks, and our co-ops are a 6-month full-time program, usually as a local school partnership as part of that program. So you'll notice varying graduation dates on each of these. Some of you may have just begun your college career and are set to graduate in 2027 and wondering if we have roles for you, and we will. So we often open several roles to those of you who will be rising sophomores during the summer. So just keep an eye out for those positions, especially those that fall within your graduation period. And then looking over at our graduating students, we offer a couple different options. One would be our campus direct hires. So those of you who are in your final year of school, whether that's your second year of MBA or your senior year of undergrad, and are going to be graduating in the spring of 2024, these would be positions where you would interview and apply now and interview for a role that you would have once you've graduated. So we do post those periodically on our campus site as well. And then we also offer leadership development programs. And so those are reserved really for our top talent candidates with 2 to 4 year rotational program experiences. And those would also have varying degree requirements. Typically, once you are graduating is when we would look at applying to those roles. One big thing I would say is each role that we post on our campus site has a specific set of requirements. So you'll want to make sure that you read those job descriptions before you apply. But it's also very important to create those job alerts and apply early, to Melena's point. So here are just a few of the skills and common roles that our varying groups that we hire for are on our campus team. So starting at the top, we have our global network technology and global technology solutions. And these are where we're going to have our coding skills, our scripting skills, Java, Python, HTML, data analytics, those sorts of things. And then on the right, we've listed some common roles that those skills and internships would typically funnel into. So you would see software developer, data analyst, systems or cloud engineers. Moving down to the center section, we have our finance team. And some of those skills we're looking at there are, that SQL, or Python, Click. And those common roles typically lead you into that accounting analyst, data engineering, fraud risk, and payments analysts. And then at the bottom, we have our corporate, business, and consumer teams. And those skills that we're looking for there include AI transformation, market research, channel and partner management, and typically lead into roles with business sales, product management, data scientists, enterprise sales, and systems architects. So a lot of various opportunities that start right here in our campus team. So the time is now. We keep mentioning it. Apply early, apply often. When you see those roles that match your skill set and your interests, hit apply because our jobs fill up quickly and we want you to be considered. So what you're doing now, we're looking at a little bit of a timeline. You're exploring, so you're learning about Verizon. We've told you a lot of great things about Verizon. Check out our website, check out our booth at a corporate event. And then once you see those roles, apply online. Our website is verizon.com/campus. And again, apply to those roles that feel like a good fit for you with your skill set, your education background, that sort of thing. Once you have applied and gone through screening, we will send you an assessment. So you'll receive that assessment through email. And then once you complete that successfully, a recruiter on our team will reach back out to you and speak to you virtually. So we'll talk to you a little bit more about the positions that you applied for and what the rest of the process looks like. We'll get you in touch with the interview team to complete an interview with Verizon. And then we typically extend offers within 1 to 2 weeks following your interview. So we like to stay in touch with you. And then once you accept, we will help you with onboarding. We'll get you ready to become a V-teamer and live that network life. So that is the bulk of the material today. I know we've covered a lot about doing research on the companies, on how to prepare for our career fairs, on how to prepare for the interview with a great resume. But if you have more questions, anything about our tenure or our culture, anything else, we would love to discuss it.
Thank you, Raleigh. Thanks, Melena. Excellent. Thank you all for joining, listening throughout the course of all of our information. I hope that was very helpful for you, informative. And again, even if you've been out of school for a while and you're not a student, so some of those parts might have seemed a little irrelevant, I do hope that the other parts about finding values and aligning to your future roles are something that are warm and fuzzy in your heart. And now you have better steps to take to make sure you're prepared. So I will go ahead. I'm opening up the Q&A box. I'm seeing some good things here. So I'm just gonna grab them and shout them out. And then Riley and Melena may also do the same here in a moment. So I will say I see a question here about the resource groups. Since I queued those up, I would love to answer your question. Our interns are definitely allowed to join the resource groups for the time that they're here. I know it's only 10 weeks, but you can certainly join any of the ERGs that you want while you're here. I also know, and I'm not sure how these programs will continue to shift over the years ahead, but this past summer we did have an opportunity for members of our ERGs to raise their hand to be a buddy to our interns. So if our interns wanted an ERG buddy, we were able to place them within that program, so they had kind of an additional mentor and someone who may be similar to them to help guide them through Verizon. And I will just give a little shout out here that I didn't know I was going to give today. Raleigh was the one that ran that ERG Buddies program. So great job, Raleigh. There are plenty of different resources you have also as an intern. You have the chance to work not only with your manager, but with your team. The recruitment team is always here for you and sharing information. And then with each different business function, they like to schedule different events. There are fun Fridays, there are functional events, like let's say it's in the consumer group in marketing. That team might have their own meetings on a Wednesday just to all come together, regardless of levels or anything else. So yes, you can definitely get involved with resource groups, but our internship experience is very robust as well. Thank you for the question.
Looking down at another question here, I do see I'm a rising second-year MBA student looking for full-time opportunities. And so that sort of ties back into what I was talking about with regard to our different roles. You would be looking at our campus direct opportunities, most likely. And so many of those areas you've mentioned, marketing, product management, if we post those on our site, that will also be on our verizon.com/campus. And you can set up job alerts for those opportunities as well.
Yep. And I see a couple questions related to resume. So how many pages should my resume have? So that really is, a lot of people say it has to only be one. It does not have to only be one. My one piece of advice is if you're going to make your resume be more than one page, make sure it's relevant. Don't just add a page to add extra fluff or filler. Like, make sure it's relevant. If it's relevant to what you're applying to, or to your experience or its accomplishments, you can go past one page. That's okay. We don't mind. We want to look through all of your experience. But if it's just a bunch of filler fluff and doesn't really relate to anything, and it's just adding extra space to make it look more impressive, we can kind of see that. We look at a lot of resumes, so we know. And then, do we use an ATS or manually read the resume? So a little bit of both. We do. You have a questionnaire in your application. And then if everything goes good with your questionnaire, then we do go through every single applicant and, the order that they are received. And we read through your resumes and through your qualifications. So yes, we do look at all of your resumes for sure.
Thanks, Melena. I see, will any tech internships be open for summer 2024? Yes, they are already there. Run, apply now. We definitely have some already posted. We have others that we're still working through for a few different business groups that we will be posting in the weeks ahead. So please, to Raleigh's point, apply early, brush up that resume with the tips you learned today, get in there to verizon.com/campus, check out the ones you see there, and any that you feel are a good fit that match with the dates you expect to graduate, go ahead and apply now. I'll go ahead and take the next one too. The question is, on the topic of work experience in resumes, should I add making my friend a website over the course of a year, building it from the ground up as work experience? Other than that, I might not have actual work experience. So I could go on forever with this one. I think it's definitely important for you to add to your resume. Yes. Would you list it as a work experience under an employer where they would try to verify it in a background investigation if you were to get hired? No, not necessarily, but I think you could list it as something like a special project. I know a lot of times we have students come in who have said like coursework, and then they list the different courses they've taken and projects they've worked on, and then additional like special projects like freelance website design and things like that with some details about the value they were able to bring. Even if you don't have verifiable work experience with an employer, it is still important to list that because, to Melena's point, that is something that is very relevant to what you might be looking for. So we do want to hear from you that that's something that you've got in your tool belt. So that's great. Thank you for the question.
Regarding the resume, can you expand on your educational experience if it's relevant to what you want in your career goals, but don't have much work experience? Yes, that ties into exactly what Jillian just said. Your coursework, any skills that you've learned, your classroom projects, work studies. If you've done work studies, you can add all of that. Yes, we understand. We know as a campus team, we know that what you lack in work experience, technically, you will make up with your education. And so we're happy to see all of that.
I see. Do you think an objective is always necessary for resumes? No, I don't think it's necessary. I think it can be helpful. I know I've seen lots of resumes that say things like, I'm studying computer science, but I've worked in retail, but I'm getting a certification for mental health counseling. I can't tell what you want to do. I can't tell with that what your goals are, what type of role you're looking for. So in a situation like that where it's not completely clear the type of role you're looking for, an objective statement could be very good for calling out, this is the type of role I'm seeking, and that's why I'm here today.
And just coming off of a career fair last week, and I have a stack of resumes in my hand, it is very helpful to have that objective at the top or somewhere listed on the resume to be able to quickly categorize and organize.
All
Do you
right.
see a question about our interview process? Just briefly, I should touch on that. For technical roles, does Verizon do technical interviews? What do those look like? In general, we would just have you complete a behavior-based interview. So during our interviews, we'll talk with you about your background. We'll talk with you about your skills, that sort of thing, and ask a series of behavior-based questions. So your real technical interview comes during your internship. So if you're looking at that 10-week internship, that is your 10-week technical interview.
Love that. Thanks, Raleigh. All right, there's a question here. Looking at skills, I can apply for all categories. That is very impressive. Thank you for that. I want to ask you, in a year, how many applications or positions can I apply? Also, can I apply to co-ops and full-time? For how many applications, we recommend applying to the things that you're qualified for, that you have the skills for, that you're most interested in. If that is 3 jobs, that's fine. If that's 25 jobs, that's fine. I think where we would see not a concern, but we might question, okay, he's applied to 433 jobs over the course of the last year. Are they all over the place? Are they all within one realm? Again, like my answer to the other question with the resumes, we want to make sure we kind of know what your target is and that we can tell that you're applying for things that might make sense based on what's on your resume. But sure, you can apply anytime to any of the roles that you're interested in. And as far as co-ops and full-time, typically the co-ops are while you are in school, and the full-time would be obviously once you're out of school. Most of our opportunities are full-time when you may be typically going to school. So I would just review those the job postings that we have posted, see what makes sense based on when you're graduating or what your schedule's like, and apply to those accordingly. But can you apply to a co-op now, assuming you meet those qualifications, and then full-time for once you graduate? Sure. Again, you can apply to whatever seems to make sense as long as you're qualified.
And I would say if you're just in school or about to graduate, you can filter on our website for campus and apprenticeships in your search so that only those types of roles will come up, so that you're not pulling up jobs that require like 6 years of experience or something that you might not qualify for yet.
I'll touch on the cover letter. Just for Verizon, we don't ask for cover letters or ask you to upload those. They can be a nice touch. Let's say you get an interview scheduled and you want to reach out to your hiring manager who will be conducting the interview in advance and say, hi, I'm meeting with you tomorrow. Just wanted to give you a copy of my resume. Perhaps you want to include a cover letter there, but that's not something we ever ask for or look for specifically here at Verizon. I can't speak to outside of Verizon. So I would say, it's up to you. I definitely would keep it to just a couple of paragraphs if you want to. But again, kind of the same things we've talked about, how you might show up strong in your resume or at a career fair or anything like that, just showing what you're passionate about, a quick highlight of your passions, your experience, and what type of role you're looking for, I think would make the ideal cover letter. But again, that's not something we're actively chasing down over here on our side.
I also see a question about in-person career fairs. So if you go to our verizon.com/campus page, we do have listed out all the events that we are attending this semester. So you can check that out. And if we're going to be at your school, please feel free to come visit us. We'll be happy to talk to you.
All right. I am seeing a handful of questions about those of you who may be graduating soon, either in December or January, and you want to make sure that you can find those roles when they post. I can say my peer will have a lot of what we call our campus direct posting. So that's for those of you who are upcoming grads who are looking for a full-time role. We're still waiting on a lot of details of those, but do expect that those would post within the next week or two. And the way that those are categorized and the way that we title those is typically, let's say, data analyst entry-level opportunities. I know we are seeking some accounting analysts, so those are campus direct roles for those focused in accounting, and that is accounting analyst entry-level opportunities. So that's the type of wording that you might want to look for. And again, there's not very many of those posted just yet while we're waiting on more details from the business, but we do anticipate those over the next week or two.
I do also see a question regarding transitioning from that military to potential technology life. And just wanted to highlight also on our career site, we employ over 8,000 military members and veterans. And so we definitely want to help you there as well. There is a skills assessment or skills matcher from your military role. So I definitely encourage you to check that out as well.
Raleigh, Milena, thank you so much. To our friends on the backside, I see lots of other answered questions that we didn't get to live or that we didn't have an opportunity to cover, or they were answered before we even saw them in the midst of our presentation. So thank you for your thoughtful questions. Thank you for being here with us today. We are going to go ahead and wrap up the presentation and give you a few minutes back into your day. But again, thank you so much for your time. Hope this was valuable, and we certainly appreciate your feedback. But thanks again for spending this last 50-ish minutes with us, and we wish you a wonderful afternoon. Take care.